are you at now, coaching with the team and everything, kind of how things are at as a Utah program?
Well, when you come off a disappointing home weekend, and I mean, obviously we want to win every game, and we've been so good at home, and I thought we played really, really well at home against Arizona. And sometimes the difference in winning and losing, it can be 1 point, one possession. And sometimes if you really focus on outcomes, and I know like everybody wants to win, we want to win. Sometimes you can lose where you're going, and so you got to really concentrate on what we're doing well, what we're not doing quite as well, and how to get better. And then the Saturday game, honestly, I thought we played better than what I had thought. When you rewatch the film, we did some things a lot better than I thought, but certainly there were some breakdowns there. I thought more mentally than anything, and we looked at some of the guys looked a half a step slower than normal, right? And so is that just mental fatigue or physical fatigue? When you play 51 minutes like Gabe Madsen did at this time of year, when you play 49 minutes like Davon did, I think BC played 39 minutes or something like that, or maybe even a little bit more. Like those are huge minutes for those guys. So it's hard because you have such high expectations, and we weren't able to get it done. But at the same time, we are right where we need to be. And you got to let a friend who's been in the business for a long time used to always say this, you got to let the poison out. And so, on Sunday, you're of course, I watched our game, that night after the game, that Saturday night, and of course again on Sunday, and then you're prepping for UCLA and USC, and you're just not happy, right? And PO'd. And but you got to let the poison out. You got to let the poison out. I know what we do works. You're always trying to fine tune and tinker and put guys in a great position to succeed. But now we move on, and we have 7 regular season games left and a conference tournament game that's guaranteed. So it's 8 games we know we have left in the season, and going into the year, you have 32 games. So it's still 25% of our season. It's certainly winding down, but there's a lot of time. There's still plenty of time to gain some momentum. And an easy example to this is UCLA, right? Who we're coming up and playing here on Sunday. They started out conference play 1-4, 1-5, and they didn't play their best basketball against us, and we just had one of those nights that night. And since then, they've rattled off 7 out of 8 wins, and their one loss was at Arizona, where they led most of the game. So, sports are finicky, and nobody has a crystal ball to what's going to happen here down the stretch. But hopefully, I thought we had a good practice yesterday, and hopefully we can use some of this as a launching point, to finish this year out the right way.
Looking at USC, obviously they've struggled a lot this year with talent.
Who?
What are you kind of seeing out of them, and what do you think your guys need to do in order to potentially get that monkey off your back?
Yeah. So I've watched 3 games at this point. There'll be plenty more coming in tonight. But just talking to Jaden Olson, has this scout, and and then just following a little bit from a peripheral standpoint, I guess you could say, is they've had a lot of different injuries. I mean, Boogie Ellis has had a hamstring going on for a while. I think he missed 3 games not too long ago. Isaiah Collier, who I believe was the number 1 rated recruit, in last year's class, and at one point was projected to be the number 1 pick in the draft, and certainly still projected to be a lottery pick. He missed, I believe it was 6 games with a hand injury. Just came back last weekend. He was really good last weekend, both games. I think he got 31 free throw attempts in 2 games. It might be more than our team, but they're a team very talented. They've had a lot of guys that have sustained various injuries throughout the course of the year. And you can say what you want, but it affects your team. Rhythm and timing, getting to a flow, figuring out who you are and what's your identity. But they are healthy now. And last weekend, I didn't go the way they wanted. Lost a really close game in overtime, obviously to Cal, and then a tough one at Stanford. And so. But they are healthy for the first time in a long time. They are very athletic. They're a team full of guys that are 4-star and 5-star guys. Very long, very athletic. They can put pressure on you in so many ways. The Morgan kid led the league in block shots a year ago. He's leading the league right now as well. So they're deep. They can play a lot of different guys, and they have played a lot. So we got to figure out, who they're playing. We got to make sure this is going to be a big personnel game. We got to really understand their personnel, what they do well, and try to take away, those strengths. We got to be better on the defensive end, and then what do we got to do on the road? St. Mary's is ranked in the top 25. Our first true road game, that was a heck of a win for us, right? That's a quad 1 win. Haven't been nearly as good since, for a multitude of reasons. But I think at the end of the day, we just got to be better on the defensive end. Like, I don't mean to be a broken record with that, but we do have to get better consistently with that. One weekend it was our transition defense, right? Another weekend it was our rebounding. We got to be able to make our free throws, right, and get fouled more when we're on the road. But sometimes you can overstate it too. Like, I think you asked that question a few weeks ago. Like, is it a mental thing? And I don't think it's that. But at the same time, you do got to tighten up because there's so many other influences out there. You're not sleeping in your own bed. You got to deal with the crowd, just that whole thing. And we've looked at our protocol, which is something we've done everywhere we've been. So I don't know, maybe we need to change that up slightly with this group. Every team is a little bit different, but they are healthy. They're going to throw a lot of things at you, play some man, play some 2-3 zone, multiple presses. They'll come at you with a lot of screen and roll on the offensive end. They have good size. They can play big. They can play small, and they've done both. So we got to be ready for everything with USC.
Brandon on Saturday said you guys now have to do it the hard way.
Yep.
You didn't get the wins at home. Is there any, I don't want to say special messages because I know each game's the same, but is there anything that you kind of go into with that kind of mentality saying that?
I think sometimes you can overstate all this stuff. That is what we said to the team afterwards, and we kept it pretty short after the Arizona game. And, sometimes you talk too much after a game. It just kind of, right? And so, but we do. That's exactly what I told them. We got to do it the hard way, and that's okay. It's really a prestigious thing to do what we want to do. It's hard to do. It's not easy. It's not for the meek. But I think you can overcomplicate this stuff. I know as a coach, sometimes reporters and fans can look at me like, oh, you don't think about all that? Well, yeah, I know where the end game is, but all I can control is what we can control. And that's really the message. It doesn't matter what Arizona does. It doesn't matter what Washington State does. It doesn't matter what Cal does. It doesn't matter what Colorado does, because we have no bearing or control over that. So why would you even cloud your mind, right, with that? We can't control what other teams around the country are doing. All we can control is our process and our protocol. There's no magic pill. Like, there's no, magic sauce, so to speak. I just think the secret, one of my friends in coaching always says the secret's in the dirt, right? And you got to go to work, and you just got to keep getting better and in every facet, right? And so with your mentality, with your discipline, with your preparation, with your recovery at this time of year, especially taking care of your body is very big. And we have a few guys that it really has shown even the last couple of days after this weekend. So we got to be really intelligent with that. And then as coaches, just really understanding what's tangible here, because sometimes when you lose a couple games, even though we're literally 5 possessions away from being 2-0, that's the margins that you're dealing with. You got to be realistic to how we can improve, right? And it can be simple things that are tangible to help get us back on track.
I feel like we kind of have been focusing a lot on what you guys need to fix, but what have you guys been doing well? What have you been doing right that maybe have gotten you to this point?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have a great locker room. I mean, we do have a really good group of guys that are connected. I think it's helped getting Lawson back. We protect the paint really, really well. It's hard for teams to score. I think we're number 1 in the Pac-12 in protecting the paint. We've gotten a lot better in our transition defense has gotten much, much better, right? We do a good job at scoring at the rim. Davon's really helped us in that respect, and our bigs do a good job of finishing plays, right? So, I just think at the end of the day, we have a great locker room, and that makes a big difference. So we've done a really good job. Like 3/4 of the way through the year, we're in a great position. We're still in a good position, right, to accomplish everything we want. We've been very good at home as well. And so now we got to work hard on playing our best basketball here down the stretch. And I think just keeping the game simple on both ends of the floor will really, really help us here in the back half of the season.
You're probably
No, I'm not tired of it. Nobody's asked for like 2 weeks. So I meant to talk to Trevor about this yesterday. Trevor and I, our trainer, had a long talk about Raleigh at the end of last week, and he's going to be going in this week. I don't know what day, and that's going to tell us a lot more. I know I said that a couple weeks ago, but he did not go in. So he is going in this week, and we should have a lot more of a, I'm hoping to have more of a, just kind of exactly where he's at. Because it's been, I mean, the last game he played was UCLA. So it's been, over a month.
Is it more just a rest thing for him? I mean, is there anything structural that has to do? I mean, I know you don't want to get too far into
Yeah, I can't get into specifics. I mean, he definitely has a lower leg injury. That's, obviously, we didn't know that it would be even this long up to this point, quite frankly. So that's concerning. But I don't want to say too much until I know what the doctor says. So otherwise we're just dealing in hypotheticals. But obviously it's been pretty substantial for him.